with the government and the Bermuda Tourism Authority making the investments to bring on events such as the SailGP and the PGA. We've been blessed to have Butterfield and APAC step up. I would like to see more companies partner with these type of initiatives and make these initiatives such that they're self-generated through investments of stakeholders, so that the funding that it brings them here can go out and find new ways in which we can promote Bermuda, so that we're just not doing the same thing from a promotion of Bermuda standpoint, that we're initiating things that get buy-in for its sustained success and others buy into it. I think that's what we need to do. I certainly look forward to the day when we can have a plethora of boutique-type events. Boutique type of events that are generated locally, that reach out across the globe. And some people might look and say, what are you talking about, Swan? What value would that bring? Well, I'm here to tell you that I learned that in the 60s. I remember reading in the newspaper and seeing the sports page just full up with names of people visiting Bermuda, playing tennis and playing golf at Castle Harbor. Even before I played golf, their names were blazed in the paper, their results were in the local papers. And as I got involved in tourism in later years, I found out that at the same time, the Bermuda News Bureau was blazing their names internationally. And so I believe that the opportunity for us to do likewise still remains. Still remains. I can recall, based on learning golf in the early 70s, growing up around the Bermuda Goodwill Tournament. I remember in 2020 during COVID, when the Bermuda Goodwill Tournament went down to less than 10 teams, and the efforts of Mr. Bob Carraro out of Glebe Hill in Tuckerstown, whose love for Bermuda, a Bermuda resident who loves this country as much as any of us, couldn't see that tournament die on the vine, the oldest Pro-Am golf tournament in the world. And Bob used his resources and his love for Bermuda and his significant connections around the world to make sure that that tournament survived during COVID. And as a consequence, today, that tournament has grown to over 75 teams. 4-man teams with their spouses and partners coming down. And I'm here to tell you that that is no mean feat in itself, and it's a significant contribution to Bermuda's GDP. Because the clubs that come down for that, I mean, you just have to look at the list. And, you know, when you know that people that come from Wingfoot and people that come connected with Pine Valley and St. Andrews and clubs throughout the United Kingdom like Sunningdale and the like will come to this Pro-Am. And the clubs like Wentworth and South Hearts, who have come to this Pro-Am in the past, still remember and are connected. Those types of relationships are significant for us in Bermuda. Good morning, caller. Welcome. You're on the air. And so, as a consequence, as we are looking to build Bermuda, I keep continuing to say that the shoulder months between November and April are about 22 weeks. And we have events during those weeks that prove to us that we can move the needle. International Race Week is an initiative that was started through the grassroots of running. The Bermuda Goodwill Golf Tournament was an initiative that was started through the grassroots of golf through the Bermuda Golf Association. Dare I say that the Pompano Couples Tournament and the Pompano Ladies Pro-Am were tournaments that got their origins out of Castle Harbor and St. George's Golf Club. They certainly did. The couples tournament used to run in Castle Harbor in the 60s. And in the 80s, when a young man from Castle Harbor went to St. George's Golf Club and it's closed, he took those persons that were coming to Bermuda and they helped him start the tournament in St. George's. And because he had two young women golf professionals, the first in Bermuda's time, working for him, he started a ladies pro-am. Those tournaments continue on today and have been bolstered by the love for sports tourism that the owners of the Pompano, the Lamb family, develop and cultivate up there next to a golf course, and the sports tourism initiatives continue today. They are self-sustaining. They will take place without government monies, but can be boosted by government injection to support efforts of people on island promoting events. Race Week, those events. And I'm sure each and every one of you out there know of other events that are started from the grassroots. What we must do is we must empower our people on island. And I say our people on island because everyone who calls Bermuda home is a part of Bermuda and have a love for Bermuda, just like Mr. Bob Carraro, just like Mr. Darren Lewis out there running, sending a shout out to him with all the good work he does in the golfing community, just like Mrs. Muriel Parker did, just like Mrs. Ticker Smith, respectfully, that was her nickname, did for the Bermuda Goodwill Tournament before Mrs. Parker. Those are the organizations out there in Bermuda. Just like Mr. Gavin Manders bringing the Caribbean International Pickleball event to Bermuda. We don't have to be sitting in an office trying to figure out how we're going to run an event. We need to be making relationships with people on island and helping them connect with their connections overseas to inspire people there to come to Bermuda. That's the model that allowed the couples tournament that still continues on 50 plus years later in a different iteration in a different end of the island to continue on, building relationships. I'm in the throes right now. Just had a conversation with someone about bringing folks to Bermuda who love hockey and love rugby. There's a hockey association out there in a community that I'm very familiar with in the United Kingdom, and a rugby association out there in the community that I'm very familiar with in England. And guess what? Many of them play golf in a community at a resort that I frequent when I'm in the United Kingdom. And guess what? Some of them are England internationals, played in World Cups, interested in Bermuda. What better time to enjoy Bermuda than when something is happening in Bermuda? And if I'm lucky, when we do it, they won't just connect with the Rugby Classic, where they're guaranteed to have a good time in the evening time, by the way. But they may piggyback on the tail end of the Bermuda Championship, or the front end of it and the back end of the rugby. We need to look at those events. We just hosted the Sail GP. We need to make sure that there are events piggybacking on those events. The future of Bermuda lies in relationships and entrepreneurship. Let me repeat that. The future of tourism in Bermuda lies in building relationships, sustaining those relationships, nurturing those relationships, right? And making the climate possible for entrepreneurship. And sometimes that entrepreneurship doesn't need to be overburdened. If we give tax concessions to lure people here, we need to make sure that we lessen the tax burden for locals to get involved and use their authenticity to get involved in the tourism industry as entrepreneurs. We're seeing an initiative. Hold, caller. You there, caller?
Yes, I'm here, Kim.
Please hold. We're seeing initiatives now. I heard two names come out there. One was young Mr. Butterfield, very inventing and a sportsman as well, getting involved in skydiving initiative. There are other types of initiatives, but let them come from the salt of the Bermuda earth. They're there. They are there. And so I talk about this group of hockey and rugby people that were looking to play, and when they're coming here, maybe they play a little golf, maybe some of them might be into pickleball or whatever, but we will connect them up with those like-minded people in Bermuda who do what? Play rugby and play hockey. Now, I might be able to convince a Bermuda name like a Mr. Kyle Lipen to part of it and go out there and find people, and we do the same thing in football, Knocky Wells and the like. We might have a young actor out there. We might have Miss Lana Young, for instance. She might like little golf, but she knows a lot of people around the world. I'm sure those type of Bermudians out there are the ones we need to be empowering. At the end of the day, what could go wrong? At the end of the day, we're showing some faith in our own. If I spend $20 million today, in 10 years, that's $200 million. That's a fifth of $1 billion. Why not empower our people? And we don't need to just stay on the people that are here. We can broaden the scope to look at the Bermudians who are overseas, still loving on Bermuda, still pining on Bermuda, still wanting to make a contribution. Their contribution is to leverage their communities in where they are to help carry our message forward. Good morning, caller. Welcome. You're on the air.
Hey, Kim, how you doing?
Fine, thank you, sir.
Good. I only have a simple request. What is the overseas number to call? When you want to call into the show?
Okay. 1.
Yep.
888.
257.
9086.
86?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thanks, buddy.
All right. Thank you.
Sure.
That was an easy request this morning, and thank you for that call. I recognize the voice. A voice I always appreciate calling in to Tourism in Focus in the morning. Yeah, and we're talking about event tourism and also business tourism. I just want to say something else as well. Is that I hear people saying, what's the date that the Princess will open? Please tell me the date that the Princess will open. And I'm here to say I don't know the exact date. I do know that there's going to be a soft opening of the beach club facilities, but I do know this. It's getting close. I do know this, that in 2020-21, when it did close, when a pandemic hit this country and the world, there was great uncertainty. I do know that it sat closed for a period of time, and I do know that there was much that was said about it, but I do know this, that a commitment from the government, and thank you to the Premier and Finance Minister who just got some good ratings coming in again, that $500 million worth of investment is going on in this country. And I wonder, and me, I wonder what the knock-on benefits have already been because of that. I drove down Reed Street and saw the most of the lanes now open just before you get to red carpet there, and because of the development that took place there. And we wonder what are the benefits of having that economic activity taking place. I'm looking at the day when the Elbow Beach, being now a part of the Lauren Pink Beach down in Tuckerstown, is going to take shape, and me, I wonder, was that an inspiration or encouragement, seeing a major investment taking place at the Southampton Princess property? We see the Azura. On the South Shore, growing up on and he might have been in town. He and I used to play the same amateur tournaments at the same time back in the 70s when I was a young guy running around America. He's the chairman. Oh. Yeah.
Yeah, I went look at the green jackets and all that type of good stuff. Listen, I was online reading the RG.
Yeah.
And I see that for Q1, that the tourism figures are up on the island.
Yes.
My question to you, and probably you're not the person to answer the question, but my question to you is that how does the Bermuda Tourism Authority, or what matrix do they use to calculate the amount of tourists in Q1 if the U.S., which is your biggest feeder market, has a job loss, and everybody knows that they're knocking on close to 200,000 people out of work. So, what matrix is that Q1 figures are built on? That's my first question. Second question is that number are they talking about the hotel visitors versus leisure or business visitors are up in Q1, or how do they go about doing that? That's what I'm getting at right now.
All right.
All right, unless they're doing your cruise ships.
Well, the cruise ships are all a part of it, and then they segment out different aspects of it. The statistics come from the Department of Statistics there.
They come from the department. I thought they came under the BTA itself.
Well, the BTA will receive the information and correlate it in accordance to how it impacts tourism in specifically. But Bermuda Department of Statistics provides statistics for Bermuda on any number of spaces. What you're seeing in tourism right now is growth in Canada. Significantly, because Canadians, and you've seen a downturn in visits. I remember reading something yesterday, I believe, where visitation to United States is at an all-time low.
That's correct.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that visitation out of the United States is at an all-time low for there, because what I've noticed. And let me just say this, because I do have some of the quarter stats in front of me. That I pulled it up as you're talking, because I live in the tourism industry as far as my trade, right?
Right.
I'm seeing a lot of red state travel to Bermuda. And if you know what I mean, is that, United States, like Bermuda, has its political dynamics.
Dynamics, yes.
Right?
Correct.
And right now, the red states control American politics.
Right.
And being one who was educated and trained and played professional golf in the South, I mean, you went to Augusta yesterday. One of my arch rivals in collegiate golf for the last 35 years. And when I went to Troy, you went to Columbus College, is the director of golf of next door neighboring to Augusta Country Club, which is right next door to Augusta National.
The country club.
If you went to Augusta National and asked for the golf director and tell him you knew Kim Swan, he would look at you and smile and smile and smile. And we played a lot of golf together down south. I'm here to say this, is that what we have to appreciate is where our visitors are coming from, and that changes according to the dynamics of the different, what's taking place in the different areas that people come from. But at the end of the day, and caller, you've led me right where I really needed to go today, right? Is that when we're doing this, we need to be like Switzerland. We need to be neutral. I had someone bring to my attention that there are persons in the hospitality industry that are taking on their personal political views and sharing them with visitors as they're doing tours. And to me, that's a no-no.
Yeah, exactly.
And to me, that's offensive.
Right, indeed.
And I'm here to tell you, there is very few people on this island who intuitively can understand and appreciate the dynamics of what's taking place in any region, anywhere in the world, because my travels took me everywhere from when I was 16 years old. When I first left Bermuda, I went into some communities that most people would even dream would never go, right? But you have to accept that if you're driving someone in your car or you're meeting somebody in their space and you have the ability to interact with them, you don't need to be coming down on where they come from and talking about their politics. You need to be selling Bermuda, all ours. You need to be selling the best virtues to ensure that they have a good holiday. They didn't sign up for that. And I'm going as close to the win as possible. It bothered me when I was away and heard that this had happened, and I felt it my duty and you and caller, you've led me. I don't know, but you might be out there reading my notes, but you led me right there this morning.
I knew you had something on your chest you had to get off.
Because it's important. Because I might have. I share stories about what has happened to me in life and all that through traveling around the world and being in different places and playing a lot of golf all over the world, particularly harboring, living in the South and traveling on my own through places to get to places like where you just went. But when people come to our country, no matter where they come from, Canada, United States, Caribbean, South America, Central America, England, Ireland, wherever, you have to be hospitable. And you can't be out there doggone talking your personal views about your politics and the like. And I'm here to tell you that's a no. There's a time and place for that.
And thus there goes a major problem on the island with bringing in people to work on the island, especially in the hospitality industry, because these are your first plus point people that you meet. You understand? You meet these people first. Your doorman. After your doorman is your front desk. After your front desk is your waiters. If you don't have an infusion of Bermudians in key positions on the island, there's no Bermudian general managers on the island. That's wrong. It's not that one. There are hardly any Bermudians in the executive offices on the island. Okay, fine. For whatever reason that is, we have to leave that alone. But if you're going to bring in foreign labor to work in the hospitality industry, they cannot be your first point people that might. If I come to Bermuda, the first person I'm going to meet is somebody from Philippines, India, or I'm going to a restaurant and be served by every other nation beside a Bermudian. So if I need to ask my waiter, hey man, look, where can I go see something today? And he's going to stop and go find a Bermudian to bring to the table to ask a Bermudian the same question. That doesn't make no type of sense. You're shooting yourself in the foot, because the first thing they're going to project is their country. You understand what I'm saying, Mr. Swan?
Well, let me share this with you, right? That problem you just explained is not unique to Bermuda. I went to England recently, and I can tell you that, you got people from all over the world. I went to Jamaica, and I interacted with a lot of Jamaicans, but Jamaica has always been out of many one. So Jamaica has always been a country that whoever come from Jamaica from all likes. Of course, most people know my family in Jamaica are a lot of the Chinese Jamaicans through my daughter's brothers and sisters, right? And so, but they are Jamaican. And so in Bermuda, we have a problem with regards to, we have more jobs on offer than we have Bermudians prepared to take it. And we have a lot of Bermudians who have made the exodus and going to other places to live, particularly England, okay? So what I believe the answer is to what you just put out there is that, and we do have a Hospitality Institute. The BTA is a part of that, and it's a good initiative. We need to make sure that for businesses out there and frontline people, that it's mandatory that they be educated and schooled up during the shoulder months on how to present. Because when I grew up in the hospitality industry, I got that training. You know, I got it from the chambermaid, who was Bermudian. I got it from the waiter, the waitress, the maitre d', and the like, who a lot of times were my aunts and uncles or cousins or whose children I went to school with, and right. You were taught that, and it wasn't tolerated. If you weren't anything but respectful for people, your peers would hold you in check. So in the absence of the village that we had in the bygone era, we need to make sure that we provide the basis of the type of training that's needed, and ensure that the level of service that's authentic to Bermuda is provided. And I think that's paramount, and that took me, and that speaks to the concern that what was heavy on my chest. And I want to thank you for leading the witness. Caller, I talk to you, and I'll share with people that I don't know who I'm talking to, but I know who I'm talking to by the voice that comes to me. And one day you're gonna look at me and say, "Hey, Swan, you know who you're talking to, you know." And I'm just gonna smile.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Swan, look, I like tying up most of your time, so I come and make my points and I leave. But look, I'll be back home in another week or two. I still have to go to Fort Lauderdale for a travel show.
Yeah.
I don't know why I go to these things.
Well, you have an interest.
I'm not in the hospitality industry anymore, but I'm constantly drawn to wherever there's a hospitality show or something going on.
But you know, it speaks. What you're talking to now is what's important, and that is something that all trades and industry do. It's called recertification. Once you've been in a trade, you know, becoming recertified and reacquainted and refreshed in your trade becomes a way of life, and it becomes part of your culture. So, you know, you're culturally adapt to doing just that. And that's the type of thing, that's what I was speaking to earlier about getting more niche type events generated out of the salt of the earth in Bermuda, because every organization in Bermuda, if it's in the arts, if it's in music, right? There are people who have connections within their trade overseas. We need to leverage the connections, because when you leverage the connections that are on island, what happens is you've got someone on island who can look after those people and interact with them when they're on island.
Well, I'm going to say this, and then I'm going to leave just in case somebody else wants to get on. I think 2 months ago now, you had the icon, Mayor Andrew Young. I don't know if you know, he was the one hung with Reverend King.
Dr. Martin Luther King, yeah.
He called 2 months ago, somebody in his party called, say that he was celebrating his 94th birthday. Mm-hmm. And they wanted to bring him to Bermuda. And they called me, and I said to them, I said, listen, the type of people that you're going to bring to Bermuda, we do not have the hotel space for. Now, they was knocking on 8,000 people. I said, man, no, not Bermuda, man, not right now.
You have to bring a couple of cruise ships.
Yeah, I said, not right now. We don't have that type of hotel space. And they kind of got dumbfounded because they knew Bermuda had hotels every 5 miles apart. I said, no, man. My biggest hotel is under renovation. Mm-hmm. My second largest hotel is nowhere near ready for that type of thing. Mm-hmm. And then they said, oh, well, I guess we ain't coming to Bermuda. I said, I'm sorry, man. Yeah. We can't help you. Yeah. But I told them to call the BTA just in case they had a way of doing it or making it work.
Yeah.
But I just couldn't see it. So I gave them the BTA's number. I said, look, call this number, talk to these people. They may know some more about it than that, because I'm not in the hospital. I'm not in BTA. Mm-hmm. The tourism authority would know what type of hotel space, beds, and every type. So they said, nah, we will go to Bahamas. And they took, I think they took 7,500 people to Bahamas.
Yeah.
You know, and that sort of hurt me, because, you know, the old saying, never let money walk out the door.
Yeah.
Yeah,
well, I believe our salvation right now, based on what you just explained, is in more boutique type of events, which is why I will continue to say is that there's months, there's 22, 25 weeks between November and late April, present an opportunity for us to empower people on island to leverage, and Bermudians overseas to leverage their contacts, their associations, their organizations to cause boutique type of events to take place in Bermuda in greater abundance.
And the best part about those 22 weeks, the weather is still fairly good in Bermuda for that.
Well, the other thing about that as well is that, as I had a talk with a hotelier this morning, someone who just built and modified their own property. They said, readjust your expectations. Bermuda, and I do a lot of historical research, Bermuda was once a winter destination. People came here. Look, when you can have portraits galore and sculptures of Mark Twain, who spent winters, if the former president of the United States can hang out with them back in the late 1800s and 1900s and spend 3 weeks in Bermuda doing what? Writing. You have artists that come here. You have musicians that write here. We have the climate to put people. I told someone the other day, we need to be selling mindfulness. Mindfulness puts people in a space where they'll enjoy themselves, where they will find themselves. Persons, and I said this last week, and I'll repeat it again. Stress people trying to teach people how to live a non-stressful life out of work. It's like going to the oh boy, don't let me go to. Anyway, I'm here to tell you this, right? That in my training in life, I've been trained to see the glass as half full. And you fight against that demon that wants to pull you down to see the glass as half empty. It's a constant battle. Okay? So when you're selling this country in between November and April is the ideal place for mindfulness, the ideal place to accept what the good Lord gives you at the beginning of each day. If he gives you sunshine, hip, hip, hooray. If he gives you rain, put on your relics and make the most of it.
There you go. Make the most of it. But,
my friend?
I'm going to leave you right now.
All right.
But I think that the marketing strategy, even though I don't know what it is, I don't sit in the room, but I heard you say last week about the national marketing something for Bermuda. Mm-hmm. It's being reviewed.
Well, yes, because the national plan expires in 2026, so it'd be revamped. I'll talk more about it next week. How's that?
Great.
Reminded me of, I think his name, Turley Shalhoub. He used to come on Monk. He used to come on a show called Wings, and he was a taxi driver. And what he said, when you're a taxi driver, you can't talk politics and religion, and you even got to be, on a day like today, you even got to be careful talking about the weather. But most people like to talk about themselves.
Yeah.
So what you do, you might say, oh, welcome to wherever. How are you doing, and where are you from? And then you get them talking, and basically all a taxi driver needs to do is just, he said, do three things. When they first start talking and they're talking a bit, you go, mm-hmm. And then when they talk a little bit more, you say something else similar, and then in the end you say, sounds good. Like you could go, yes, mm-hmm, sounds good. And I told a colleague of mine who used to drive taxi part-time, I said, yeah, you ought to try this. Just say, mm-hmm, yes, and sounds good or whatever. And, just let the people talk. And he said he ended up getting a big tip because the people like talking about themselves. And you were kind of just making it sound like you were listening and kind of agreeing with them. And that's what most people want. Most people like to talk about themselves. And then the other thing you were talking about, or somebody was talking about some big group wanting to come here. Now, if the whole group all wants to come together, that's one thing. But when Bermuda used to do a lot of big conventions, and let's say 1,000 people were coming a week, often some of these big corporations that had conventions, the conventions would go on for 4 weeks. Mm-hmm. So as many as could come would come 1 week, and as many as could come would come the next week. So, like, that's something that we could do even if a hotel, let's say they can handle a couple hundred at a time. If you wanted to do something with 1,000 people, then the hotels need to just say, well, we can handle 1,000, but we'll have to do 200 at a time or something like that. And that way you can keep all your staff busy for a month, catering to the same group of people, and, and everybody's happy.
I remember that era back when Time Magazine and IBM used to come. I think it's contingent upon what the customer wants, and in today's world, they have planners that work for organizations that plan it out. But thank you for that. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Okay. Bye.
And I thank both of those callers for calling in. My gosh, it's 10:43. As we go up to the top of the hour in record numbers, good morning and welcome. You are on Tourism in Focus.
Yes. Good morning, Mr. Swan.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm doing great, thanks. I had to call in once I heard that gentleman saying that a taxi driver should sit there and nod his head and say, okay. Never happened in Bermuda. I don't know what part of the world it will not happen in Bermuda, because if a Bermuda taxi driver does something like that, you're doing a disservice. If you want to explain to the wonderful visitors about your island and express all sorts of things to these wonderful visitors. So I'm out here. I know what I'm talking about.
But
and,
can I ask you? Can I ask you a question, because I know what I've been what was reported to me isn't you. Okay, I know that. Hand over heart, I know that, right?
Yeah.
And I shared that we have to be skilled in what we talk about and respectful and know that we can't. And I made the point that we got a lot of folk coming that don't necessarily might think the way we think, but we're there to provide them a service. So let me put it to you as an operator. How do we, and let me ask you this, should we provide more training to up the skill set of folk who didn't get it the way you got it? Let me put it that way.
Okay, maybe. But I mean, okay, I see your point, but also it's natural, So you can go to class and learn a whole lot of stuff about different things, but when you actually you got people with you, you have to kind of come up with your own way of doing it. You know what I mean?
Well, let me put it to you this way, because we'll run out of time. Let me put it to you this way, right? You and I probably around the same era, okay?
Yeah.
When your mama and or my daddy told me, listen, you're going Berkeley. I don't want to see you hanging out X, Y, and Z, right?
Yeah.
So you found ways to get to town without going around X, Y, and Z. So and so what I'm saying is that there are no-go zones to talk about, and that's what that caller was saying. He was saying, listen, you don't go there and talk politics about your country and their country unless you've known those people for 25 years, 20 years, 10 years. They've been to your house and drink rum with you and all that type of stuff. But you got a group of people on a tour, and that's part of your tour.
Okay, all right. Now let me.
No, go ahead.
I'll finish up with this. Somebody hops in the vehicle. From the cruise ship.
Yes.
They're going to Bay.
Yes.
They don't even know they're going to get a mini tour of between the cruise ship and Horseshoe Bay.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
And by the time you get them down the road, you had them in the palm of your hand, and they're just so excited and astounded by the level of knowledge between Dockyard and Horseshoe Bay. That's just one example.
Right, yes.
So they just think they're getting a taxi ride. They're not. They're getting more.
Mm-hmm.
You understand me? There's no way you can get somebody in Dockyard on a taxi and sit down there and for a 20-minute drive and barely say anything. It just doesn't happen, Mr. Swan.
No, I agree. I mean, people come on the bus and tourists and ask you questions and share. My biggest thing is I like to make people feel comfortable. So I said, "Where are you from?" I said, "I'm from Baltimore." Just by happen, I had an Argyle Country Club hat on my head, and I had good friends in Baltimore, just to make them that riding the bus at 9 o'clock at night, right? Going from Switzerland up to the doctor and town's not that busy during the week. You want to make them feel that they're in a place where people respect where they're from. But if you take that in the reverse, and people start telling you all the bad things that their country do as it relates to our country and how our country is this, that, and the other, and you don't even know the people. There's a response. There's a no-go. What I'm saying is that there is a no-go zone, and persons need to be trained in what to engage in on behalf of their country, because they're representing all of us, not just themselves.
I agree. So I'm just going to end it on this.
Go ahead.
And like you said, training is one thing, but I truly believe it's a natural skill. You know what I mean? And that's what most of us carry. It's a natural skill.
Well, I say it this way. Look, people are going through a lot of something out there in life, right? Your natural skill might be able to navigate it, even though you're going through something. Because a professional shows up at work and leaves their troubles behind. What I'm talking about is the person that's not trained and takes their problems and their personal feelings and puts it on our visitors. And I felt it my duty to go there on this show today. And I had every intention of opening the engines with Uncle Sheridan ran at one end and Mom Dennis ran right on the other, but I didn't go there, but a caller called me and took me there, so here I am.
And really, I'm not even referring to the incident you're talking about. You know, I'm just talking to Kevin.
I know that.
And I'm not in no way defending anything that may or may not have happened. You know what I mean? But that's just my feeling on the whole.
Right. Okay.
As a whole. Okay.
I mean, by and large, we have the authentic Bermuda experience is very unique and represents us very well.
Yes.
But I do believe that incidents like that, if not addressed, right, can become the norm.
Right.
And I say that in the context that when I look out there and I see my cousin, Mr. Matthews, or different other people, and Ronaldo who dress a certain way, and I know that there's not everybody that take up that skills, that dress code skill.
I agree.
There's some very neutral, but there's some that are the antithesis of them too. That doesn't represent us well.
Yes.
So we do need to have codes and standards.
Yes.
All right. Okay, my friend.
Thank you, Mr. Swan.
And I thank you. Got some. It reminds me of orders of the day today, boy. I tell you, it took me back in time. I haven't been on orders of the day since 2020.
Yeah, that's right. You got a good memory. I remember that day.
I remember your voice from orders of the day.
and my father, so he's a big fan too. So he's a cool dude.
All right, very good. Thank you very much, my friend.
Take care.
Bye.
All right.
Okay, 297-1027. You'll be right here on Tourism in Focus. No, it's not orders of the day, but we're talking about tourism, and I want to send a special shout out to Miss Davida O'Brien. I think it's time she may be our guest next week on Tourism in Focus because she deals with standards and training and can speak very knowledgeably and passionately about what is done and what is required and how we should address these type of things. So I'm making a shout out. I think I'll make a call out as well. Send a shout out to Ms. Zena Edwards out there at the Bermuda Tourism Authority, who does a great job in communications. Anybody in touch with her, tell her Kim said is going to call you to see if you can get DeVito on the show. You and DeVito on the show next week, because that topic certainly was something that you all would be very well versed in. 297-1027 is the number to dial, and you'll be right here with us on our show, as we've got 8 minutes remaining for our show this morning. We appreciate you ever so much. Send a shout out to all my good friends out there in the United Kingdom this morning. Tyrese and Derek out there, that great young golfer, the Tiger Woods of Britain, hoping that he can win the European Junior Championship in November. Stay tuned. Good morning and welcome. You on the air.
Oh, good morning, Mr.
Good morning.
Hi, Mr. Swan. Thank you so much for taking my call.
Yes, ma'am.
I surely love listening to what you're saying and listening to all the other residents. I have a couple of comments. I'm hoping that you could kind of talk me through it.
Go ahead. Hello, caller. Might have got disconnected. Caller, feel free to call back. We got 7 minutes left. 297-1027. Your connection was a little bit sparse, so let's see if this caller's calling back. Good morning, caller. Welcome. You on the air.
Oh, thanks, Mr. Swan. Can you hear me better now?
Yes,
Sorry.
I can. Yeah.
Great. So can you just walk me through what is going on with the buses? I just noticed we live on the South Shore, and there seems to be so many tourists that are left stranded. There's not enough buses, or when buses do come through and stop, they're always full. I picked up numerous guests over the last probably 2 weeks or so, and there's just not enough buses on the road, which is really sad, given that every year at the same time we get this influx of great tourists coming in, through the boats and air, etc. But we do a good job of getting them here, but we certainly can't transport them. And I don't really understand why. Do you have any insights into this?
Well, I'll tell you what I will do, and then you can go to the second point, is that I will send a message to the minister responsible for transport and tourism and let him know that this has been brought to my attention, and let him come back. If he comes back with anything, I can always talk about it next week. But I'll let him know that it's being flagged, and it's a usual reoccurring problem with the amount of people that are coming out of the South Shore, particularly at Horseshoe Bay. I know in the past what they've done is had some buses originate from there, which doesn't impact the locals that are getting on. And sometimes they originate buses earlier from Somerset, so that the buses aren't full coming out of Dockyard and bypassing locals. So I don't know. I can't speak to what is being done right now, but I can raise the concern directly to the minister within the next 6 minutes.
Oh, that's awesome. And you know what? I guess the question also is I know we have an Airbnb, and they love all the residents or the guests. They love coming to Bermuda, and they love it. That's one of the most outstanding problems. They said it's the transportation with the buses, going back and forth with their families. And also, I don't know if you notice this because you travel as well, but the bus stops are extremely dirty. I know that there are some wonderful charities and also some school groups that have done certain bus stops, probably outside their vicinity, painting them. They look great, but the majority of the bus stops are very dirty. It's so embarrassing that they, have all this trash in them. So I don't know who parks, if they're responsible or somebody else. We certainly, especially during our high season, we need to address this and take care of it because, it is embarrassing.
Can I make a suggestion to you?
Sure.
If you could notify your member of parliament, no matter who they are, and tell them if there's any particular bus stop that in the route that your guest there. Tell them, for instance, if it was in Mullet Bay, then call me. if it's in Church Bay, call the MP for that area and let them find ways of tackling. I know that there are some bus stops in certain communities that MPs have taken it upon themselves to connect up the right people to have it done and so forth. I know in Devonshire and the like. So that would be my suggestion there. Did you have any other point? We're coming up on the top of the hour. We got 2.5 minutes.
Sure. Actually, you just mentioned Church Bay, which I noticed because I do walk by there regularly, the bathroom.
Oh boy, yeah. I had to tackle that problem for somebody last year, so I will send if you're telling me Church Bay bathrooms, I'll send a message to the minister responsible for works on that again. That because when the use comes, it's nothing better than having good, nice, clean public facilities like that, and maybe for Church Bay. Maybe what exists up at John Smith's Bay might be something long term. I mean, I'm kind of partial to Southampton because I was born in Southampton, so I'm a Grenville Heights boy through first and foremost.
I do. I live in Southampton, so I get it, and I walk by there fairly regularly. Yeah. So just the state of the bathrooms is awful, and it's, as you know, it's like one of the...
And it's a portaloo, right? Yeah.
Now on the side, but you can't use them. They haven't been used for them.
Okay, I will definitely send that to the minister and tell him that it came up on the show. Minister of Works. Okay.
Awesome. You're a star. Thank you so much, Mr. Swan. Have a great day.
All right. And while I'm talking about the Minister of Works, MP Jashay, the Honorable Jashay Adams, if you see him, tell him thank you very much for the restoration of the steps, the railing going up from Mullet Bay Park up to St. George's Cricket Club there. No, it wasn't done for Cup match, but it'll be done for when the Cup comes back. It wasn't done for Cup match, but it will be done now for when the Cup comes back. And we can walk down and parade the Cup around Mullet Bay. You got a minute, caller. Welcome. You're on the air.
Hi. I just would like to piggyback over the bus situation with the tourists and coming out of Dockyard. Because I live in Somerset. So like this morning, for instance, the buses were coming through by Marketplace in Somerset completely full.
Okay.
So there were locals and tourists at bus stops getting left behind.
Okay.
And this is just in Somerset. So they're actually coming out of Dockyard full.
Yes.
I know they were supposed to leave space to be able to pick up locals and other people on the way, but it doesn't appear that all buses are doing that. So not only tourists are being left behind,
okay,
but it's locals as well.
Thank you. I know in past they've originated some buses out of the old terminal, but I've got to go. But I'll pass that on too. Thank you, bless you, and that's our show for today, folks. Lord willing, we'll be back with you next week on Tourism in Focus. I was going to play a little hindsight for you, but the time just got away.
Bermuda Live on YouTube. Subscribe now.